cast away in silence. South wind was cold and sharp. Dust moved through the empty street like ghostly fingers. Under a broken roof in the old alien market, a mother sat with her child pressed tightly against her chest. Her arms were shaking, from fear, but from hunger. Her name was Vara. Her skin had once shone like silver. Her long hair used to carry the scent of wild alien flowers, but now she looked like a shadow of her past. Her clothes were torn. Her eyes, once bright with pride, now looked tired and hollowed beside her. Her baby whimpered. The child was thin, too quiet, too still. "Please," she whispered to a passerby, "just water." The alien, a merchant with golden rings on his horns, didn't even look at her. He moved past like she was dirt on the ground. Another alien followed, holding her nose. "Half-breed filth," she hissed under her breath. Vara said nothing. She was used to this. Once, she had a family. Once, she was a soldier, a protector of her people. Until she broke their rule, she loved a human, and from that love came her baby. But her people didn't care about love. They cared about blood, about rules. They called her baby a mistake. They called her a traitor, and then they cast her out. Vara had tried everything, begged at spaceports, worked in kitchens, until they found out what her child was. She even cleaned the floors of alien ships for scraps. But when the last captain saw her baby, he kicked them both into the street. Now, she sat here, in the cold, hiding in the shadows of the alien market. Nothing left, except her child. But then footsteps, not rushed, not loud, slow, steady, different. Vara looked up. A man stood a few steps away, tall, human, wearing a dusty jacket and carrying a small bag. He had a short beard and calm eyes that didn't look away when they met hers. He crouched down. "You look tired," he said softly. Vara's lips trembled. "Don't talk to me," she said quickly, looking away. "They'll see you. They'll think you're like me." He smiled a little. "Then maybe they'll leave us both alone." She blinked. This was strange. Humans never stopped. Humans were not safe. Even if she had loved one once, that time was over. But this one, he didn't walk away. Instead, he reached into his bag and pulled out a small food pack. It was warm, real food, not waste scraps. "For the child," he said. Vara hesitated. Her fingers hovered over it. "Why?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. "What do you want?" "Nothing," he said. "No one should starve with a baby in their arms." She took it, slowly, carefully. Her child, weak as she was, reached up and opened its mouth for the first bite. A soft coo escaped its lips. Vara almost cried. He sat beside her now, cross-legged, close but not too close. "What's your name?" he asked Vara. She said after a pause, "I'm Jace." Silence hung between them. Not heavy, not awkward, just quiet. "You don't need to stay," she said after a while. "Someone will see you. They'll call the patrols." "Let them," Jace replied, eyes still on the child. "I've seen worse." Vara studied him. His hands were rough, his boots old. He wasn't rich. He wasn't powerful. Yet here he was, sharing food like it meant nothing. Maybe it did to him. "How long have you been out here?" he asked gently. "Too long," she replied. "They chased us from 5 stations. This place was the last." Jace looked around. Alien eyes glared at them from a distance. Some shook their heads. Others whispered. He didn't care. "You have a name for the child?" he asked. Vara looked down. "Lyra," she said quietly. "It means light in my language." "Beautiful." Jace nodded. "She grows strong. Not if they take her," Vara said, voice sharp. "Not if they find us." He looked at her then, more serious now. "You're safe with me," he said. "You don't know me." "I don't have to," he replied. "I can see who you are. That's enough." Vara turned her face away. hiding her eyes. No one had said something kind in a long, long time, but her heart beat faster. She didn't know it yet, but this small moment, this human, this food, this calm voice, was going to change everything. In a world that had cast her away, one man chose to sit beside her. A meal that changed everything, just didn't leave. Even after the food pack was empty and the baby lay asleep against Vara's chest, he sat with her. The alien market buzzed behind them, shouts, engines, the smell of burning oil and strange spices. But in that little corner of broken stone and shadow, it was quiet. Vara kept glancing around. Every few seconds, her hand pulled the thin blanket over her child's face, hiding the marks that made her different, hiding the one truth that had cost them everything. The baby's soft green skin and small, human-like fingers were proof of what Vara had done, and if the wrong eyes saw her child, they wouldn't get a second chance to run. "You shouldn't stay," she whispered again. "You've done enough." "I haven't done anything yet," Jace said softly. "One meal won't change your life." "No," Vara said, looking down, "but it can save one more day." The way she said it broke something inside him. Jace looked at her carefully. Her cheeks were hollow, but her eyes were still sharp, still watching everything, calculating, protecting. Even after everything, this woman still fought for her baby with every breath. "Tell me," he said, "what happened to you?" Vara didn't answer at first. She looked at her sleeping baby, then back at the man beside her. Maybe it was his calm eyes. Maybe it was the way he didn't pity her. Maybe she was just tired of being silent, so she spoke. "I was a soldier," she began, "part of the Thraxis border guard. I trained since I was 14. Honor, duty, strength, that's what they taught us. I believed in it." Jace nodded, silent. "One day my squad was sent to rescue civilians from a crashed transport. Human refugees, they said. We were told not to get involved too deeply, just clear the area and leave. But when we arrived, it wasn't a simple crash. It was a slaughter zone." Vara's voice dropped low. "Pirates, mercenaries, and they were killing humans, one by one. I saw a man tied, bleeding, still trying to protect the children behind him. Something in me cracked." She took a deep breath. "I broke orders, fought the mercs myself, pulled that man out, shot through the smoke. I saved him." "Was it the child's father?" Jace asked quietly. Vara nodded. "Yes, his name was Daniel. He didn't just thank me. He treated me like a person, not a Thraxis weapon." Her hand gently touched the baby's small fingers. "We hid together for a week in the ruins. Fought together, laughed. We were just people then. And when it ended, I didn't go back to base. I went with him." Her voice softened. "I loved him." "What happened?" Jace asked. "He died 2 months after our daughter was born," she said, eyes filled with quiet fire. "Poisoned food in the outer sectors. Slow and cruel." Silence. The market still moved around them, unaware of the past that lived inside the woman before them. "After that, your people cast you out," Jace said gently. Vara nodded. "To them, I had betrayed everything. I wasn't a warrior anymore. I wasn't pure. My child was proof, and the humans. Some helped," she said, "but most looked the other way. I don't belong anywhere." Jace leaned forward. "You do now." Vara stared at him. "Don't say things like that. I've heard words like those before. They disappear when danger comes." Suddenly shouting across the market. 2 alien guards appeared. Thraxis patrol. Their armor glowed blue and red, and their helmets scanned faces as they moved forward. Vara froze. She knew that walk. "Bounty trackers. They're looking for me," she whispered. "They scan for heat signatures. My daughter glows differently." "Don't panic," Jace said. Vara's breath caught. Her heart raced. Her arms tightened around Lyra. The patrol moved closer, scanning. Talking to vendors. Jace moved fast but calm. He stood and stepped behind a nearby cart, then returned, holding a large brown cloak. "Put this on," he said. Vara obeyed, wrapping herself and the child completely. Jace then sat close and pulled a worn metal crate in front of them, like a screen. The guards came closer. "Don't speak," Jace whispered. "Just listen." The patrol stopped near them. Their scanners hummed. One pointed toward the alley. "We received heat traces here," one guard said. "Only me," Jace replied, raising his hand. "Had a heating pack. Ate lunch." The guards looked at him. "You're human," the other growled. "Last time I checked. Seen a Theraxis female with a child. Outlaw traitor. Dangerous." Jace looked them dead in the eye. "Doesn't sound like anyone I want to meet." A long pause. Then the guards moved on. Vara didn't breathe until they were gone. She pulled the blanket back slightly. Her eyes met Jace's. "You lied to soldiers for me," she said, stunned. Double quotes, "I don't like bullies," he replied. Vara stared at him. No words came. That moment, more than the food, more than the cloak, that moment changed her. Someone had risked something real for her. Not because they had to, but because they chose to. The world that hated them. Vara couldn't sleep that night. She sat near the back wall of an old abandoned hangar, her child wrapped in the cloak Jace had given her. The baby breathed softly, for once, peacefully. But Vara's eyes remained wide, open, watching the shadows, listening to every sound. Jace was asleep nearby, using his bag as a pillow. He had given them shelter, warmth, and protection. Yet Vara still didn't understand why. Why would a human risk trouble for a woman like her? She had nothing to offer, no power, no wealth, not even a name that still meant something. The world had taken everything from her, and yet, he stayed. Just before dawn, Jace stirred. His eyes opened and met hers. "You didn't sleep," he said, softly. "I've slept in worse places," she replied. "But I never sleep when I know people are hunting me." He nodded, rubbing his face. "We can't stay here long," he said. "The patrols will search again." "I know," she whispered, after a moment of silence. Jace reached into his bag and pulled out a small map, made of old plastic screen. He tapped it and showed her a blinking spot. "There's a transport station to sectors west. If we can get there, I have someone who owes me a favor. Someone human. Half human." Jace smirked. "Don't worry. She hates the system more than both of us combined." Vara looked down at Lyra, still sleeping. "Is it safe?" "No," he said honestly. "But it's safer than this." Vara nodded. They left the hangar at dawn. The streets were still dark, barely waking. Jace led the way, with quiet steps. Vara followed closely, her hood pulled low, her arms wrapped tightly around Lyra. Every alley they crossed felt like a trap. Every whisper of boots made her heart pound. Then they heard Idmetal's steps, heavy, echoing. Vara stopped. Behind them, on a rooftop, two dark figures moved fast. "Bounty trackers." "They're following us," she said sharply. Jace didn't hesitate. "This way." They ran. Through narrow paths, across old bridges, ducking under fences. The city was waking, but too slow to notice the chase. Jace led them into a service tunnel, sliding a panel aside. In here, they entered the tunnel. Dark, cold, wet. Vara breathed hard. Lyra cried softly, sensing the fear. "We can't keep running like this," she said. "Then let's stop running," Jace replied. "Let's fight smart." "You don't know what you're saying," Vara snapped. "These people, they don't care if we're right. They'll burn us alive just to make a point. Then we make it cost them." Vara stared at him, eyes hard. "Why are you doing this? You don't even know me." "I don't need to," Jace said, voice steady. "I've seen enough." They reached the edge of the tunnel. and came out near a transport loading yard. Giant ships hovered overhead. Cargo bots rolled past. Security drones scanned everyone. Vara's stomach dropped. They're scanning heat signatures. Then we go through the blind zone, Jace said, pointing at a dark maintenance corridor. No cameras, no drones. How do you know that? I used to smuggle, he said with a half smile. Not proud of it, but it taught me how the system thinks. Vara hesitated. And you're not afraid of getting caught with me? I'm more afraid of doing nothing. They slipped into the corridor. It was tight and full of old cables. Sparks jumped from broken wires. At the far end, they reached a steel hatch. JACE. Knocked twice. Paused. Knocked again. The hatch opened. A woman stood there tall, with cybernetic eyes and purple tattoos across her face. She had a scar down her neck and wore a pilot's jacket. You're late, she growled. Nice to see you too, Rilla, Jace said. The woman glanced at Vara, then at the baby. Is that what you brought me? They need help, Jace said, just like you once did. Rilla looked Vara up and down. You have any idea how much heat is on your head? Yes, Vara replied coldly. Do you? Rilla laughed. Like her. Fine. Come in. But if the patrols show up, I'm feeding you to the rats. That's fair, Jace said. Inside the ship, it smelled of fuel and metal. Small, old, and fast made for running. Not comfort. Vara sat down in the back room, while Rilla prepared to lift off. A CE brought a small pack of food and water. Thank you, Vara whispered. It's not over yet, he said. She looked at him. For a long moment. You risked everything. For me? For her? She's just a baby, Jace said. And you're not broken, Vara. The world is. Her lips trembled. No words came. Then, for the first time since the day her people threw her out, she cried. Not from fear, not from pain, but because someone finally saw her as whole again. Escape, under the stars' engines roared. RYLA single quotes O's old smuggling ship lifted, off the ground, shaking with rust and power. Inside, the small lights flickered, the walls groaned, and steam hissed from the vents, but it flew. Vara sat strapped to the corner bench, her baby Lyra pressed tightly to her chest. Jace sat opposite her, watching her with calm eyes. Above them, stars began to appear through the small window as the ship broke through the thick atmosphere of the alien trade world. She didn't breathe until they cleared the clouds. They had escaped. For now. We won't stay hidden long, Rilla shouted from the cockpit. They've got scanners, drones, and long-range hunters. The moment they ping this ship's ID, they'll follow. Then scramble the ID, Jace said. I already did, Rilla snapped. But they'll still sniff the trail. Especially if they know what's on board. Vara's eyes narrowed. You can leave us at the next station if it's too much trouble. Rilla looked over her shoulder. You think this is about trouble? Girl, the galaxy has no room for honesty anymore. Either you fight dirty, or you die clean. Vara held her child tighter. Then teach me how to fight dirty. Rilla laughed again. I really like her. Later, as the ship drifted into a quiet zone of space, Jace came to sit beside Vara. The child had finally fallen asleep again, warm and safe in her mother's arms. You look like you're holding the stars themselves, Jace said gently, looking at Lyra. She's all I have left, Vara whispered. Not anymore. Vara looked up. Don't say that. You don't know what that means to me? Then explain it, Jace said. I'm here. She hesitated. When I was young, she began, we were taught that love makes you weak, that a warrior must always be alone, silent, strong. But, Daniel, he showed me something else, and when he died, I thought that part of me died too. She looked down at the sleeping baby. I swore I'd never trust again. Yet here we are, Jace said quietly. Yes, Vara nodded. Here. We are. Running again. Jace leaned back against the cold wall. I've run my whole life too. From wars. From decisions. From people. I thought I didn't deserve to stay anywhere. But when I saw you in that alley, he stopped. What? She asked. I felt like I'd stopped running. Suddenly, alarms blared. Lights turned red. RYLA single quotes. S voice exploded over the intercom. We've got incoming. 3 ships, no transponders. Bounty class, and they're fast. Vara stood instantly. They've found us. Get strapped in, Rilla shouted. Outside, space lit up with engine trails. 3 dark ships swooped in like hawks. Sharp, deadly, silent. They didn't send warnings. They didn't ask questions. They fired. The whole ship shook. Metal groaned. Sparks flew. Jace jumped forward, covering Vara and the baby with his body, as an explosion tore through part of the engine room. Smoke filled the corridor. Oxygen stabilizers damaged. Rilla shouted, We've got 15 minutes before we lose full pressure. Vara coughed, holding Lyra tightly. What do we do? Jace looked around. Escape pods. 1, Rilla said. But it only holds 2. Send them, Jace said. Now what? Vara shouted. No. You have to go, he said, grabbing her shoulders. You can't fight in this. Your child can't survive another chase. But you can get to the safe zone. Rilla knows where. I'm not leaving you. I'll slow them down. I've done it before. I can do it again. Stop. Her voice broke. You don't have to do this. I do, Jace said, because you still have a future, and I want to be part of it. So let me make sure there is one. Vara trembled. Tears burned in her eyes. You'll die. Jace smiled softly. Not today. Rilla guided Vara to the pod room. Coordinates are set. It'll land you on an old mining moon. Not pretty, but quiet. Someone I trust lives there. The baby whimpered again as the pod hissed open. Get in, Rilla said. Vara turned to look at Jace one last time. She didn't speak. She just kissed his cheek. Then she whispered something only he could hear. You are the first star after my darkness. The hatch closed. The pod launched. And just like that she was gone, behind them. Jace grabbed a weapon from the wall. The enemy ships were docking. The hatch was glowing red with heat. He aimed his weapon, stood tall, and whispered, Come and get me. The galaxy would remember this moment, because on that night, a human didn't just save an alien mother and child. He defied an entire system, and made the stars blink in fear. Healing a shattered hearth, escape pod landed hard. It slid across the frozen surface of the abandoned mining moon, sparks flying from its underbelly. Inside, Vara held her child tightly, shielding her from the impact. The baby cried tired, scared, alive. When the pod door hissed open, cold air rushed in. Vara stepped out slowly. Above her, the stars were quiet. No sound of ships, no blaster fire, no sirens, just silence. She looked around. Gray mountains rose in the distance. The ground was cracked and dry, with old machinery buried in the dust. This place had once been full of workers, full of life. Now, it was just bones of a forgotten world. She was alone, again, except for the child in her arms. She walked for hours through the cold wind. Her boots sank into dust. Her cloak was too thin. Her body ached. Her hands were shaking. But she kept moving because she had no choice. Lyra slept against her chest, warm inside the sling. Vara. Single quotes as mind kept flashing back to the ship. 2JACE. Was he still alive? Did the enemy board the ship? Did Jace fight them? Did Ryla escape? Or was he gone? Every time she asked herself that question, her chest burned, just when she thought her legs would give out. She saw it. A light dot, a small outpost, tucked between rocks, hidden from the open sky. Metal walls, solar panels, a single antenna, blinking red as she approached. The door opened. A man stood there, not human, not Thraxis, something older. His skin was deep brown with glowing lines running down his arms. His eyes were silver and tired. "You must be the one Rilla warned me about," he said. Vara nodded, too tired to speak. "Come in," he said softly. "Bring the child. The night is cruel here." Inside, the outpost was warm, small, but clean. Old furniture, shelves lined with dried food, batteries, and blankets. A single photo hung on the wall, an old crew, smiling in better times. "You can rest here," he said, pointing to a room. Vara nodded and entered. She laid Lyra down, wrapping her in layers. Then she sat on the floor and leaned back against the wall. Finally, she let the tears fall. Quietly. They rolled down her cheeks, one by one. She didn't sob. She didn't wail. The pain was too deep for that. Her heart felt hollow. She thought of Jace's smile, his voice, the way he stood between her and danger, the way he said, "I want to be part of your future." Was that future gone now? Days passed. The man introduced himself as Kale. He didn't ask too many questions. He didn't speak unless spoken to. He simply offered food, safety, and silence. And that was exactly what Vara needed. She spent most of her time fixing her strength, gathering supplies, caring for Lyra. But at night, when her child slept, Vara sat by the window, staring at the stars, wondering where Jace was. She wanted to believe he was alive, but her warrior mind told her not to hope. Still, her heart whispered otherwise. One evening, Kale brought her a metal box. "What is this?" she asked. "Rilla sent it with her last shipment," he replied. "It was coded to your DNA." Vara opened it slowly. Inside was a small silver cube. When she touched it, it lit up. A message, a hologram, JACE. Single quotes, S, face, appeared. Bruised, dusty but alive. Vara gasped. Her hand covered her mouth. His voice played, soft and calm. "If you're seeing this, it means you made it. Thank God. They hit us hard, but I survived. Rilla did too. Barely. We had to split up to throw them off. I've gone dark for now, but I'll come back for you." Vara's heart raced. "I don't know where you are, but I trust you found safety. Protect Lyra. Hold her tight. She's the future." He paused. "And so are you. I meant what I said. You're not broken, Vara. You're more whole than anyone I've ever met. And when I return, I'll prove it to you." The message ended. The cube dimmed. Vara stared at the spot where his image had been. He was alive. He was still out there, and he was coming back. From that day forward, something changed in her. She stopped moving like a ghost. She stood taller. She spoke stronger. She trained again, using heavy tools to build her strength. She crafted a safe room in case bounty hunters returned. She sharpened old blades and studied the stars every night, trying to trace ship paths. And when Lyra cried, she didn't cry with her anymore. She held her child close and whispered, "Your father is coming." But not everyone on the moon was quiet. One night, as she returned from gathering parts in the lower hills, she noticed something strange. Footprints. Not hers. Not Kale's. Someone had found them. Her heart jumped. Vara grabbed her blade and slipped into the shadows. She followed the trail through the rocks to the outer ridge, and there she saw it. A figure wearing black armor, scanning the land. A bounty hunter, searching close. Too close. Too close. Vara turned back fast, racing toward the outpost. She had to move. Again, but this time, she wasn't just running. This time, she had a reason to fight back, because Jace was alive, and she would survive long enough to see him return. The Propazalfi cold wind returned. Vara stood near the edge of the cliffs, watching the stars. The bounty hunter hadn't returned in 3 days. But she knew what that meant. It was the quiet before the storm. He had seen the outpost, or at least, found signs of life. Maybe he had sent a signal. Maybe more were coming. She had moved her daughter and packed supplies. She was ready to run again. Her body was strong now, her instincts sharp, but her soul, it was tired. Kale had gone silent too, speaking less each day, always checking the perimeter, setting traps. Even he felt the storm that was coming then. One night it arrived. A loud noise cracked through the night sky. Vara grabbed her blade. The sound wasn't from the hills, it was from above. She looked up and saw it, a ship cutting through the stars. Fast, small, and familiar. Her heart skipped. She stepped forward. No, she whispered, but it was Jep. The ship landed hard in the canyon beside the outpost, kicking up smoke and dirt. The side door burst open, and he ran out, bruised, tired, armored, but alive. Jack Vara didn't move, couldn't breathe. He looked around, then his eyes found her, and without a word, he ran straight to her. She didn't wait. Vara dropped her blade and sprinted down the slope. They met in the middle arms, wrapping tightly, no words needed. Her face buried in his shoulder, his arms locking around her waist. She was shaking. He was trembling. It wasn't a kiss that happened first. It was breath. It was heartbeat. It was heartbeat. It was the sound of pain melting away. I found you, he whispered. You promised, she said. They sat in the safe room that night, Lyra sleeping in Jace's lap, her tiny fingers curled around his. He looked different now. He had scars across his jaw, and one arm was bandaged with plasma burns. They tried to stop me, he said. They almost did. I knew you were alive, Vara whispered. I didn't, he admitted. She looked at him. Then why come back? Jace looked down at Lyra. Because you're not just someone I saved. You're someone I chose. Both of you. Vara's eyes filled with tears. Not from sadness this time, from something new. Hope. But that hope didn't last long. Before the sun could rise, a blast rocked the outpost. The bounty hunter had returned, and he hadn't come alone. Vara and Jace rushed outside. 3 bounty ships hovered above the canyon. A voice crackled through the speakers. Turn over the traitor and the child, or we turn this place into ash. Kale activated the outer shields. They've locked onto us. How many? Jace asked. At least 12. Vara held her child close. They'll never stop, will they? Jace took a deep breath. Maybe. We need to give them something they can't ignore. Like, what? He looked at her. Then he smiled. Like a wedding. Vara blinked. What? Theraxis law and Federation law. Both have a clause. Bonded mates, legally recognized, cannot be separated without trial. They'll still chase us, yes. But it won't be just you and your child anymore. It'll be us. A family. Protected under human rights. Jace. I know it's fast, he said. I know this isn't the way normal people do it. But nothing about this has been normal. And I'd rather face death beside my wife than live forever without her. Vara stared at him. The wind whipped around them. Blaster fire hit the shields. The ground shook, but all she saw was him. He knelt. No ring, no fancy words. Just one truth. Marry me. The ceremony was fast. Kale stood as witness. They signed on an old Federation tablet, uploading the bond to the central code net. Rilla appeared via a cracked screen, grinning and swearing like always. And when it was done, Jace turned to her and whispered, "You're not running alone anymore." Then he picked up the baby and held her in one arm. "We're a team now." Outside, the bounty leader grew impatient. He shouted again, demanding surrender. So Jace stepped outside with a calm voice. "You want her? Then come take the wife of a human citizen and a recognized child under treaty protection. See how your bosses like the war that starts next." The bounty hunter paused for the first time. They hesitated. The risk was too big, too loud, too dangerous, and just like that they turned back. The ships lifted into the sky. They were gone. Vara stood in the doorway, stunned. That worked. Laws can't stop evil, Jace said, but they can slow it down. Vara walked to him. You married me. To protect us, she said. No, he said. I married you because I wanted to. Protecting you is just part of loving you. And for the first time in her life, she believed every word. A new name, a new dawn. 3 weeks had passed since the wedding. The skies were quiet now. No bounty. Ships, no trackers, no weapons aiming at their heads. For the first time in years, Vara woke up without fear. She didn't check every shadow. She didn't listen for engines in the sky. Instead, she woke to the soft breathing of her daughter, the steady warmth of Jace beside her, and the feeling of a home even if it was still inside an old mining outpost. Outside, the desert moon had started to bloom again. Kale showed her how to plant food in the nutrient sand. Rilla dropped supplies once a week, always joking, always warning, and Jace smiled more now. One morning Vara stood outside their shelter, holding Lyra in her arms as the sun broke over the jagged hills. It painted the sky gold and red. Her child giggled, tiny fingers reaching toward the light. She's stronger now, Jace said, stepping beside her. Like her father, Vara said. Like her mother. Vara looked at him. We need a real home, not just hiding places. Jace nodded. Then let's build one. They worked for days, clearing rubble, connecting power lines. Jace rebuilt the oxygen filters. Vara installed solar shields. She was fast and fierce with tools, always thinking ahead. She didn't wait for things to fall apart anymore. She built before the storm, and in that small corner of the galaxy, surrounded by rust and dust and stars, a new home began to rise. A home built not by race or blood, but by choice. Then came the message, a coded ping from RYLA.JACE. Opened it while Vara watched silently. Urgent, Rilla said. Theraxis Council met. Your bounty is lifted. Reasons unclear. Maybe political pressure. Maybe fear. Maybe the rumors spreading about the human who challenged their rule. Vara frowned. So it's over. Not yet, Rilla added. They'll watch you, but no one will come for you now. At least, not openly. Jace looked at Vara. We're free. Vara sat down slowly, trying to breathe that truth in. Free. No more running, no more running, no more hiding. She looked at her baby, now sitting upright, curious and bright, dash-eyed. Then she stood and walked to the console. I want to register a new name, she said. For the child, Jace asked. For all of us. She opened the galactic registry, a system she once feared to touch, one that had only ever labeled her as traitor, cast out, unfit. Now it waited for her command. She entered her name, Vara Halen, Jace's family name, a symbol that she now belonged somewhere. Then she entered the child's, Lyra, Halen, and last. She updated her status, citizen bonded, warrior, mother, protected. Her fingers hovered for a moment, and then she added one more title, wife. She hit confirm. That night, she sat beside the fire, her child asleep, Jace sharpening a small tool by the light. Kale was nearby, reading a dusty book from a forgotten language. The wind outside was calm. The stars blinked, not with danger, but peace. I never thought I'd live to see peace, Vara whispered. Neither did I, Jace said. But here we are. Do you think the galaxy will ever change? Maybe not all at once, he said. But we changed our world. We made something they said couldn't exist. Vara looked at him, her voice soft but steady. A human and a broken alien mother. Not broken, Jace corrected. Never broken. Just waiting to heal. Vara leaned into him, and for the first time in her life, she felt whole. Not because someone saved her, but because someone saw her, stood beside her, and never left. Somewhere beyond the stars, war still moved. Hatred still lived. Rules still crushed the weak, but in one small part of the galaxy, a fire burned stronger than fear. A fire called love. A fire that started with a meal, a whisper, a promise, and 3 simple words: I choose you.